Three angels have appeared with the same warning. Not about a stranger. Not about something far away. This warning is connected to your family. And what makes this message so urgent is that the change they are pointing toward has already begun quietly. A conversation. A hidden decision. A truth someone has been afraid to reveal. And before this message ends, you will understand why three angels, not one, are standing around this situation. Because each one carries a different part of the warning. The first angel is guarding your home. The second is exposing what has been hidden. And the third is preparing your family for something nobody expected. Listen carefully. Because the first revelation begins with a person in your family who has been unusually quiet. You may have noticed it already. Their energy changed. Their replies became shorter. They started disappearing into their thoughts. They smile when everyone is watching, but behind that smile is something they haven't been able to say. And the first angel is revealing this. Their silence is not empty. They know something. Something that could change the way your family sees an entire situation. For weeks, perhaps months, pieces of a hidden story have been moving behind the scenes. One person knows part of it. Another person suspects something. Someone else has been pretending everything is normal. But it isn't. The strange part? Your name has entered the conversation. Yes. You. And that is why this warning has reached you. Because a decision may soon be made that affects more than one person. It could affect relationships, trust, plans, money, living arrangements, or the future direction of the family itself. But the angels are not showing destruction. They are showing revelation. There is a difference. Sometimes what feels like chaos is actually the moment confusion finally loses its power. And the first angel is standing at the entrance of your home as if saying, "Pay attention to what is being said and especially to what is not being said. Because someone is preparing to speak. And when they do, another family member may react in a way nobody expects. There could be disbelief, questions, silence, maybe even tears. But underneath that emotional moment, something important will finally become clear. The second angel now steps forward. And this is where the warning becomes deeper. This angel carries a light. Not a soft light. A light that exposes. It falls directly onto something that has been misunderstood. For a long time, you may have wondered why certain people behaved strangely around you. Why someone suddenly became distant. Why another person seemed protective of you without explaining why. Why certain conversations stopped whenever you entered the room. You may have questioned yourself. But there was another layer to the story. Someone had been trying to protect information. Perhaps they believed silence would prevent conflict. Perhaps they thought they were protecting you. Perhaps they feared what would happen if everyone knew. But secrets have weight. And eventually, somebody gets tired of carrying them. That moment is approaching. The second angel's warning is simple. When the truth appears, don't judge the first version of the story too quickly. Because there are two sides. One person may speak first. Their version may sound convincing, but another detail will emerge later. And that detail changes everything. Imagine sitting in a room where everyone believes they understand what happened. Then someone says one sentence. One sentence. And suddenly everyone becomes silent. That is the kind of moment surrounding this warning. A missing detail is coming forward. Something forgotten. Something withheld. Maybe something someone recently discovered. And once it becomes known, a person who was blamed may suddenly be understood differently. Someone who looked innocent may face difficult questions. And someone who remained silent may finally explain why. But now the third angel appears. And this angel is different. The first guarded. The second revealed. The third carries preparation. Because after the truth comes a decision. This is the part your family cannot avoid forever. A choice has been delayed. Again and again. Later. Not now. We'll talk about it. Give it time. But time has been moving. And soon, circumstances may force the conversation everyone avoided. The third angel is warning that someone could arrive with unexpected news. It may come through a phone call, a message, a document, a sudden visit, or a confession nobody saw coming. At first, it may look like bad timing. But then something astonishing happens. The information connects several things that never made sense before. You remember an old conversation. A strange comment. A moment someone became defensive. A promise that was never explained. Suddenly the pieces fit. And your family realizes this situation did not begin yesterday. It has been developing quietly. But there is another revelation. One person has been worried about losing you. Not physically. Emotionally. They feel you changing. They sense that you are becoming less willing to tolerate confusion. Less willing to chase explanations. Less willing to carry everybody else's emotional weight. And that frightens them. Because they know there are things they should have told you earlier. They assumed there would always be more time. Now they aren't sure. This person may soon try to reach you differently. Their tone could change. They may become unusually emotional. They might bring up memories. They might suddenly ask how you really feel. Pay attention. Because the conversation may not actually be about the small thing they mention first. There is something underneath it. The angels are showing layers. The first conversation opens the door. The second reveals the real issue. The third determines what happens next. And here is the shocking part. The family member you expect to create the biggest problem may actually become the person who stops everything from falling apart. Yes. Someone you considered stubborn. Difficult. Maybe emotionally distant. They may surprise everyone. When the truth is finally placed on the table, this person could say, "Enough." And instead of attacking you, they may defend you. That moment changes the atmosphere. Because another person believed they had control over the story. They believed everyone would automatically agree with them. But they underestimated how much others had already noticed. People have been watching, remembering, connecting details. And someone has evidence, not necessarily dramatic evidence, but enough information to challenge what has been claimed. A date. A message. A conversation. A promise. A forgotten detail. Suddenly the story looks different. This is why 3 angels are surrounding the family. Protection. Truth. Preparation. But the warning continues. Because the biggest danger is not necessarily what is coming. It is how everyone reacts when it arrives. Old wounds could try to enter a new conversation. Someone may bring up something from years ago. Another person may become defensive. Voices may rise. But if you remain grounded, you may become the person who sees what others cannot see in the emotional heat. The real issue. And once you see it, everything shifts. Because this situation isn't only about what somebody did. It's about what everyone has been avoiding. There is an imbalance in the family. One person gives too much. Another says too little. Someone constantly keeps the peace. Someone avoids responsibility. Someone carries resentment quietly. And somebody has finally reached their limit. The angels are warning that the old pattern cannot continue exactly as before. Something must change. And strangely, that change may become a blessing. Because after the uncomfortable conversation comes something nobody predicted. Relief. Imagine carrying a heavy box for years and suddenly putting it down. That is the emotional picture surrounding this family. People have been holding things they never said. Questions they never asked. Apologies they never offered. Feelings they pretended didn't matter. But they mattered. And now the pressure is reaching the surface. One person could finally admit, "I should have told you." Another may say, "I already knew." And someone else may whisper, "I was waiting for this." Those words could completely change the room. But your role is important. The angels are not asking you to control everyone. They are warning you not to be pulled into unnecessary fear. Listen before reacting. Observe before choosing sides. Because the first explanation may not contain the whole truth. There is still another hidden layer. And this one concerns something being prepared behind your back. Before your mind goes toward betrayal, listen carefully. It may not be negative. Someone may actually be preparing something for you. An opportunity. A gesture. A return. A reconciliation. A decision they were afraid to announce. They wanted to wait until everything was certain. That secrecy created confusion. You sensed something was happening, but you couldn't identify it. Now the angels are showing that 2 separate situations may collide at almost the same time. One brings tension. The other brings unexpected relief. That is why the warning feels so intense. Your family could move through several emotions very quickly. Shock. Confusion. Tears. Then understanding. And finally, a decision. But there is one person you need to watch carefully. Not because they are dangerous. Because they are carrying the missing piece. This person may be younger than expected. Or simply someone everybody overlooks. They heard something. Saw something. Or were told something without realizing its importance. When they finally speak, the entire conversation may stop. Because what they reveal confirms what someone else had been trying to explain. That is the turning point. And after it, someone may finally apologize. Not a casual apology. A real one. The kind that comes after realizing how much pain silence caused. You may hear words you once wished to hear but eventually stopped expecting. I misunderstood you. I shouldn't have believed that. I should have defended you. I was wrong. And you may not even know how to respond. Because sometimes an apology arrives after you have already learned how to live without it. But the angels are showing that this moment isn't only about healing the past. It prepares the future. A family decision follows. And you may be given more influence over that decision than you expect. People who previously ignored your perspective may suddenly ask, "What do you think?" That question matters. Because it signals a shift. Your voice is being recognized. But choose your words carefully. You won't need revenge. You won't need to embarrass anyone. Truth will already have done the difficult work. The strongest response may be calmness. Because somebody expects you to explode. They have mentally prepared for anger. They may even use your anger to avoid responsibility. But if you remain composed, there is nowhere for the truth to hide. And that is when the third angel's message becomes clear. This isn't preparation for disaster. It is preparation for transition. Something in your family is ending. But what is ending may be the secrecy, the confusion, the emotional distance, the repeated misunderstanding. A cycle that has survived for years may finally break. And the person who breaks it may be you. Not through force. Through refusing to continue the same pattern. There is another sign. Before this major conversation happens, you may receive a smaller piece of information. At first, it seems unrelated. Remember it. Because later, you will realize it was the first clue. Perhaps somebody mentions a name. A date. A place. A plan. Maybe they accidentally reveal something and quickly change the subject. That small moment matters. The angels are saying, notice. Not panic. Notice. Because awareness will protect you from confusion. And when the larger truth arrives, you will already have one piece of the puzzle. Now something else appears. A door. Someone has been considering leaving something behind. It could be a place. A responsibility. A relationship dynamic. A long-held disagreement. Or a plan that no longer feels right. They haven't announced the decision because they fear how the family will respond. But the coming revelation could give them the courage to finally choose. And their decision affects you. At first, you may feel uncertain. Then you understand why it had to happen. Because the family cannot enter a new chapter while pretending the old chapter is unfinished. Closure is approaching. But closure doesn't always mean separation. Sometimes closure means finally ending the misunderstanding that caused the separation. Someone may come closer again. A relationship that became cold may begin warming. Two people who barely speak may finally have an honest conversation. A family member who seemed distant could reveal that they were struggling privately. And suddenly their behavior makes sense. Not excused, but understood. That distinction matters. Because healing doesn't require pretending nothing happened. It requires seeing clearly enough to decide what happens next. The three angels remain present. One near the entrance. One holding the light. One standing behind you. And the final warning is the strongest. When the truth arrives, you may be tempted to say, "I knew it." Resist that moment. Listen completely. Because the revelation has one final twist. The person you thought the secret was about may not be the center of it at all. The real issue may involve someone else. A decision made long ago. A promise nobody told you about. A sacrifice somebody quietly made. Something may have been hidden not to hurt you, but because someone thought they were protecting the family. Their method may have been wrong. Their silence may have caused pain. But their intention could be different from what you assumed. And when that becomes clear, anger may turn into tears. Because suddenly you see the cost somebody carried. You understand why they behaved differently. Why they kept asking certain questions. Why they watched you closely. Why they worried. Why they couldn't explain. And then comes the once-in-a-lifetime revelation. The thing that seemed capable of dividing your family could become the exact thing that finally forces everyone to speak honestly. The warning becomes the breakthrough. The secret becomes the conversation. The conversation becomes the healing. And the healing creates a completely different future. But it only happens if somebody refuses to run away when emotions become uncomfortable. That somebody may be you. Stay present. Let people finish. Ask the question nobody else is asking. What is the truth underneath all of this? That question could silence the room. Because everyone will realize the argument isn't really about today's event. It is about years of things left unsaid. And finally, someone tells the truth. All of it. The atmosphere changes. A person begins crying. Another looks down. Someone reaches for another person's hand. And the person who had been carrying the secret realizes they don't have to carry it anymore. Then the final decision is made. A boundary. A promise. A new arrangement. A reconciliation. A fresh beginning. Whatever form it takes, one thing becomes clear. The family cannot return to the way things were. And perhaps that is the blessing hidden inside the warning. You were not being warned because everything is about to collapse. You were being warned because something is about to be revealed. The first angel guarded the door so fear could not control what entered. The second angel brought light so deception and misunderstanding could not survive. The third angel prepared your heart so you could recognize the opportunity hidden inside the disruption. 3 angels. 3 purposes. 1 family. 1 approaching moment. And when it happens, remember this. You don't have to know every answer immediately. You don't have to repair every relationship in one night. You don't have to carry everyone's emotions. You only need clarity about what belongs to you and what doesn't. Because after the truth settles, another surprise appears. Someone who has been distant may contact you privately. They won't want the entire family listening. They will want only you. And what they tell you could be the most emotional part of everything. They may confess that they admired how you handled the situation. They may reveal they always believed you. Or they may finally tell you something they were too afraid to say before. And then you understand. The family gathering was only the beginning. The real transformation happens afterward. In quiet conversations. Private apologies. Changed behavior. New boundaries. And decisions that finally match the truth. One person will need time. Give them time. Another will want immediate forgiveness. You are allowed to let trust rebuild gradually. Because forgiveness and trust are not identical. The angel's message is not asking you to forget wisdom. It is asking you not to let fear write the next chapter. And soon, the atmosphere around your family begins to feel different. Lighter. More honest. Perhaps imperfect. But real. The strange tension you felt begins disappearing. Questions get answered. People stop whispering. And something you thought would take years to resolve begins changing much faster than expected. That is the final revelation. What is coming is powerful because it forces a choice. Repeat the old cycle. Or create something different. And your family may finally choose differently. So when the phone rings unexpectedly. When someone asks everyone to sit down. When a family member says, "We need to talk." When an old subject suddenly returns. Remember the 3 angels. Protection. Revelation. Preparation. The warning was never meant to make you afraid. It was meant to make you ready. Because what comes next may shock everyone. But after the shock, the truth finally has room to breathe. And after the truth comes the moment nobody expected. A family that thought it was approaching an ending may discover that it is actually standing at the beginning of a completely new chapter. The secret loses its power. The misunderstanding breaks. The hidden story is finally spoken. And the person who thought they would face that moment alone looks around and realizes the family is still there. Changed. Awakened. More honest than before. And ready to move forward. That is why 3 angels came with 1 warning. Because 1 angel could guard the moment. 1 could expose the truth. But it took the 3rd to reveal what the warning was really preparing you for. Not the destruction of your family. The transformation of it.